In the military, you're given a uniform and instructed on how to do things and when to do them. But what happens when the cadence fades and you're no longer wearing that uniform? I'm KP, and I started this podcast to fill that silence with direction and to provide overall support for my beloved military family. Welcome to the Morning Formation. This episode is brought to you by Act Now Education. Welcome to the Morning Formation, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We have a very special guest, Mr. Bruce Batman Thompson, who is Vets2Industry's Vice President. He's also a 23-year Marine Corps veteran with an MBA from Columba Southern University. Bruce is guilty of holding multiple national certifications, as well as being a skilled mentor, team builder, and a career coach. Bruce, thank you for joining us today on the show.
It's my pleasure. I was about to ask you what kind of cult I was part of, but yeah, I saw you caught it.
Yeah, I know, right? It's one of those days where I'm stumbling over my words here. So, Bruce, let's get right into it, man. You have a very impressive background, very impressive resume as well. You know, I've joined you many times in Clubhouse, and when you're not there, people are literally summoning you, asking you to come in and you know, share some of your knowledge and experiences. But can you tell us the story of where it all originally started from and what was your upbringing like?
Well, growing up in the Marine Corps, you definitely learn, value others, higher than you value yourself, but never devalue yourself. And living that lifestyle for 23 plus years, it just develops who you are. And we're leading, we're coaching, we're mentoring, we're teaching, and learning every single day. So that just becomes part of your core, part of who you are. And when I transitioned, and I'm one of those ones. I transitioned into six-figure jobs, left it after a month for another job that was more in line with what I wanted to be doing. And I just found my passion was to continue to serve. Who better than to serve than those that are serving, our veterans, our military spouses, our military families. And it just became a natural calling for me. And I did a few events where I was helping out other veteran service organizations and nonprofits and saying, hey, this is how I can help. Let me do a part here or there. And it kind of grew, and then all of a sudden I was Department of Labor 3-day employment workshop facilitator, and I did that for 2.5 years, and I absolutely loved the job. Now I'll tell you, the material isn't what we all wish it would be, but I love the fact that I was able to each week reach out between 30 to 50 individuals that were in the transition space and provide them guidance and answer questions that they had. And we all have a million questions in the transition. The problem is a lot of us don't know what questions to ask because we haven't figured that out yet. So, I left the DLL position. I started doing Veterati. I was working with a couple different nonprofits that worked in the veteran space. And then, I run into this Brian Arrington guy, and we talked before, and I started seeing his name all over LinkedIn and heard about Vets2Industry, and I scheduled a Veterati session with him so I could ask how I could be a part of it. And it's kind of funny when he answered and we got through the hellos. He's like, brother, I've been trying to figure out how to ask you to be part of this for like 2 months now. And I'm like, well, hell, this is what I called about, is how I can get involved. So we did a quick high five, and we were off and running with Vets2Industry.
Yeah, it's an absolutely amazing story. It's funny how people run into each other like that and have that automatic chemistry and they're clicking together. So let's take it back to the very beginning, from your childhood and where you grew up and where you're originally from. I want to try to find out, where did it all start for you as far as your motivation to help others? where did you grow up,
So,
and what was your upbringing like?
so I was born in West Virginia, uh, raised by single dad. Spent time with my grandparents, who are just probably two of the most amazing individuals you'll ever know. They were all about family reunions. Family means everything. Help those you can, and community. Be part of your community. And we left West Virginia when I was 8. Moved out to Southern California. Not the nice Southern California at the beaches. The Southern California in the middle of the desert. Um, where if you saw a beach, it was just an illusion.
It was a mirage.
Yeah, there you go. It's Mirage.
Yeah.
Uh, and there it was a small farming community. Um, it wasn't a whole lot of places to go or a whole lot of things to do. So you just kind of, uh, got into sports, hung out with your friends. And, it was I was the youngest. So I had all the brothers that got into all the trouble. And I learned how to have a really good, teenage life without parents harassing me. Uh, and it just kind of worked there. And as a junior in high school, I chose to join the Marine Corps. And at that point, it was just, hey, I wasn't ready for college yet. I didn't want to waste anybody's money. I definitely wanted to get out of the hometown area. And so I signed up. It it's boot camp. It changes your life in 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely did. Completely new perspective. It really helped bring out your core values of what really meant the most to you, and who were you really underneath it all. And it it got me where I am today, and took some bumps, some bruises, some broken bones. Uh, but you know, uh, I'm not as physically fit as I once was. Um, but I definitely am mentally strong, and I love sharing what I know with those that are in a position where they need to hear it. They need to uh, know what's actually happening, not only as they prepare for transition or in transition, but you know once they get that first role, because we all know many individuals leave that first role within the first year, and it jumps into the 60% that leave a role after their first 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about we help those in transition, we mean to first transition from military service to I won't say the civilian world, because we always move into the veteran space, because we never quite lose that knowledge of who we are and how we grew up. But we have people that we assist that are 25, 30 plus years out of service, but they're still in transition. They're still military veteran, uh, and that's what we want to do. Is we just want to help people, find a better life.
Right.
The 22 a day is a serious thing, and if we can help with that transition to make it a more informed, smoother process, then we improve on the ability for others to get jobs, be able to, um, live, you know, grow, and not fall into that depression that, man, I tell you, that depression will just creep up on you, and once it grabs you, it really doesn't want to let go. And there's so many of us that deal with the PTSD and the mental health issues,
Mm-hmm.
in service and post service. So
Yeah.
everything we can do to help, that community, and help change that number, you know, we're we're all about that.
Now, I noticed, judging from your LinkedIn, that you actually went to college while you were enlisted in the Marines. You successfully earned your bachelor's degree, and then you went on to get your MBA in human resources. So, what motivated you to enroll and earn those college degrees? Because many times it's very difficult to get folks to kind of see the bigger picture and value education. But what was your motivation?
Well, it came down to the reality of uh, seeing individuals uh, retire or leave service that didn't have their education, that didn't really have that uh, what next mentality. And so, as I was talking to them, and I always uh, kind of was put in positions of higher rank than I actually were at the time. And so that gave me access to a lot of senior individuals and asking them, you know, if you could go back 10 years, what would you be doing differently? And almost everybody said, you know, the education, the preparing myself for the post service career. And I got that. And like I said, coming straight out of high school, I wasn't ready for college. But you know, after about a decade in the Marine Corps, it was the okay, um, I'm ready now. And so
Hmm.
went out there and uh, I got a couple associates from two different schools. Then I went on to my bachelor's, uh, and then you know my MBA program. And I was completing school while I was forward deployed in Iraq, Afghanistan. Uh, yeah, I would be traveling on business, and you know I have my government laptop and my personal laptop, and you know I was doing all the events and meetings and follow up for work, and then in the evening time I'd pop up my college work and I'd be doing my college work. Uh,
Hmm.
it takes a commitment. It takes away from family time, but in the end, you're making yourself valuable uh, for that transition space uh, and employable. Now, I'm
Right.
not telling everybody to run out and get their MBA because sometimes that MBA scares people away because they think they got to pay you extra, and yes, that is a good thing. However, that's you have to make sure that you're putting yourself in that right position.
Right.
So, and I talked to a lot of people, and we talked about this last week in our clubhouse session with the mill pack. You know, degree versus certification.
Hmm.
So in human resource management, where I have my degrees in, it's one of those ones. The first thing people ask is, "Are you PHR? Are you SPHR?" You know, it's not the oh great, we see that you have an MBA in human resource management. It's the
Hmm.
have you passed the industry certification that tells us you actually know what you're doing. Vice, hey, he went to school and did well enough to earn a degree. You
Right.
know, so it's always that balance.
Right. And you described earlier, you talked about your transition when you left the Marine Corps being less than ideal. Looking back now at how your transition played out, if you could go back, what would you do differently?
Um, well, one, I definitely would take it a little more serious than I did,
Hmm.
and that's not to say that I didn't take it seriously, but during my transition time, I had a lot of medical issues that I had to deal with. So instead of really pushing forward and looking at um, employment opportunities and getting those certifications and improving things of that nature, you know, I was really spending a lot of time at the doctors, whether it was surgeries, procedures, trying to figure out what was wrong with here or there. And so that really took precedence over finding employment post service.
Hmm. And so, throughout your entire career and all the accomplishments that you have, what would you say are your top three biggest wins, career wise?
Um, well, you know, lasting 23 plus years in the Marine Corps, uh, attaining EA, uh, being able to do the things I did is probably the number one like wow thing when I look back at accomplishments and things that I can say I really did that. Well, let's be honest, not too many people can or do.
Hmm.
Uh, and I'll say I took over as the executive director for Vets for Vets movement here in Jacksonville, Florida, just 6 months after I arrived. And you know, it's the largest recurring gathering of veterans in the state of Florida. We took over our 17,000 seat um, basketball hockey rink arena, and we filled that thing with veteran resources, veteran service organizations, uh, you know, military veterans, the families, and we ran a speaker program. We helped people find employment. We helped people find the resources they needed for where they were at, and of course, you know, introduced them to a lot of different veteran service organizations that they could be a part of and find that camaraderie that most of us lose once we transition. And As far as the third one,
Hmm.
I'll tell you right now, uh, I absolutely love what I'm doing with Vets to Industry. We were out there, and every 3 weeks we're doing these virtual events that's bringing, on average about 380 people together, uh,
Hmm.
recruiters, veteran service organizations, veteran advocates, those that just want to give back and do great things with our veterans, military service member, transitioning service members, reserves, guards, military families, military
Hmm.
spouses, and I tell you the energy and just the way everybody comes together is amazing. And our favorite part, and we wave this flag all the time. We are in competition with no one. If you're doing something great, we want to advertise you. We want you to come
Hmm.
in and tell us what you're doing great. We want to put you in our resource library. There's too many people are out there saying, "Hey, this is my piece of land," and
Hmm.
we don't have our flag stuck in the ground saying this is us and you can't do anything that we do. No, we're out there saying if you're doing something great, we don't want to do it. We want to make sure people know that you're doing it, and
Right.
and that's that um, non-competitive motion that we have. It, it's just a great space to be in, and when no one's worried about who gets the pat in the back or whose name's on the marquee or any of
Right.
that, things actually come together and happen. And that's what we love is we host events, but we've got individuals that we have that go into these events and talk to one another and talk to, in those networking groups in our breakout rooms. And we're not talking V2I and selling ourselves in those breakout rooms. We're making sure that everybody in there has a chance to give their professional introduction, figure
Hmm.
out what they're looking for, how they're going to do that next thing. And we have people that join us that have no idea what transition means, no idea what they want to do next. And then we have people who are like, I'm looking for the job with Amazon at this location, in this role.
Yeah.
Connect me to that Amazon guru that's on here. And we're like, hey, no problem. We're going to get you in that room with you know Billy, Susie, or Sally, uh, and you guys can talk about that.
Hmm.
And that's where it is. It's sharing the information, resources, making connections, and introducing people to the right ones that open doors for them. And it's just a space that once you get into, um, like I said, it's a passion. So it's not like it's a job where you're having to work. It's just one of those ones of, how can we pay it forward? How can we help? And if I can't be that person, let me introduce you to someone who can. And I just absolutely, I love it. We've got a great team. We're all volunteers, and it just makes the ultimate difference when you just
Yeah.
got everybody working towards a single cause, which is to help others.
Yeah. It's less about, like you said, the marquee and all about the number one goal, which is to help the military community level themselves up. And I do also believe that the 22 a day that you mentioned earlier is tied to the frustration of the transition from military to civilian. You know, a lot of guys that I know that got out, they went through a phase of feeling like, that the world career wise had left them behind and didn't really know what to do or how to transfer those skills over. And so it's awesome to see, Vets2Industry help build that bridge for the military community. And I just want to say, what do you think is the number one thing that motivates you to reach back and help others? Because I can't emphasize enough, and maybe you know the number because I know you're a veterati mentor. Um, how many veterans or how many people within the military community have you helped out, or how many hours have you spent?
It, well, as far as that number goes, we have no idea.
Hmm.
Uh, you know, I do talks with individuals like yourself to put out information. Uh,
Hmm.
Veterati, I've got 700 plus hours that I've spent mentoring others.
Right.
Vets to Industry, our next uh, virtual networking event is going to be our 22nd. Um, and we have, like I said, about 375 is kind of our average we're going with. and I've been on every single one of them.
Hmm.
So who knows what that number is?
Yeah.
Um, and Vets2Industry, we also have all these different workshops in our military spouse quarterly gatherings, and I've been on those as well. So we're talking another
We're
like
talking we're talking thousands. I mean, you've helped literally thousands of veterans or people within the military community.
yeah, and I put it in the tens of thousands. Um, and again, it's just me sharing my knowledge,
Right.
my information, my
Yeah.
story, and one of the biggest ones that you know I have combat PTSD. I have learned to be comfortable telling my story,
Hmm.
and if I can tell that story and it helps one person, we're great. That's
Yep.
amazing. Uh, and I got into the deep depression. I didn't want to leave the house. COVID's been hard for me. I'm gonna get out of the house, like interview, integrate with people, you know, networking, social events, and I really don't do a ton of that. Recently, we've had a couple local networking events, and we get out to a couple of them, and I just absolutely love them. The energy is right there. Everybody wants to get back out, wants to be around each other again,
Hmm.
and uh, for a lot of us, you know, COVID really put us, especially with the isolation, the lack of physical contact with others, put us in a bad space. And so now people are having to break out of that. And I tell you, like I said earlier, once that depression gets a hold of you, it has a way of just pulling you down, and one thing follows another, and you end up giving up. And that's where a lot of the 22 a day comes from. So, we talk about buddy checks. That's
Yeah.
serious. Reaching out and asking, "Hey, how are you doing?" And not, that we're walking by each other and say, "Hey, what's up?" And no, it's stopping and listening and hearing, how someone's doing, listening to see if someone's struggling,
Hmm.
and there's never enough of that, because if there was enough of that, we wouldn't be talking about veteran suicide. And
Right.
it's not just veteran suicide. Suicide is a pandemic across the entire United States, if not the world. But you know, it's our community, so we're all about committing to helping our own community. And if we can solve suicide issues for military and veterans, we can push that into the non-military side and really start making impacts on all of America.
Right. Yeah. And I think it all starts with investing in yourself when you're in the military as well. And so, what's your best advice for someone who's currently serving in the military and they can't see the bigger picture and the importance of gaining education and investing in themselves while serving in the military?
So I offer this advice to everybody that worked with me and for me.
Hmm.
Your whole time while you're in service, you have to be working towards two goals. One goal is staying in service as long as you want to. Not as long as they'll let you, as long as you personally want to stay in service. Making sure you're doing the right things to get promoted, making sure you're learning the right skills, and you're going through your progressions to get that higher rank, those higher positions. But at the same time, we all get out of the service at some point. You know, it's you have to understand. It might be a 4 year career, it might be an 8, it might be a 20, it might be a 30. You know, maybe you get into those general ranks and you're out there for 40 plus years.
Hmm.
But it all ends for all of us at some point. So what you have to do is prepare yourself to be the best service member and the best veteran that you can be. Education, certifications, community service, understanding what you want to be, what you want to do. Go out there and volunteer. Now we got the DoD Skill Bridge program. When it's your time to go, take advantage of that DoD Skill Bridge. Getting to go for 3 to 6 months at the end of your career and
Hmm.
learn. Uh, as an intern, at a company in an industry that you're interested in being part of. I mean, I wish that was there for me. When I was getting out, SkillBridge was nothing more than hey, you can go to these vocational training programs, uh, and it was great if you wanted the farm or a
Hmm.
couple other um, opportunities. But it wasn't what it is today, where you basically can go out and find any company that you're looking at, help them create a skill bridge program, and then go out
Hmm.
there and work for them for 3 6 months. And they don't always lead to employment, but hopefully it does. And if it doesn't, you've got that 3 to 6 months of civilian experience on your resume. So you're not just coming fresh from the military. So, and we can talk about onward opportunity with Syracuse University. We can talk about Act Now Education, and the Coursera programs that they're connected with. Uh, and the list could go on and on and on for all the great resources and programs that are out there for us. But you don't know about them if you do not go and ask and participate. So come to some of these clubhouse events where uh, we're talking all things military and transition, and there's military spouse ones. There's one about VA disabilities. You name it, it's on Clubhouse. Just like if you want to find something, you just go out to YouTube and you just Google how to whatever. Clubhouse has a lot of those how to transition
Right.
benefits, you know, and you have to put yourself out there. This isn't a um, go tell people that you're transitioning and magically all the doors in the world are going to open up and people are going to be begging for you.
Right.
Um, Now, if you got a couple certifications or clearances or something like that, it could be the case. But you got to make sure that you put in the work and you make sure that you are the most employable individual that's out there and makes you the best candidate.
Right. And there's so many great programs out there and so many great volunteer organizations out there that you just mentioned. So, can you talk a little more detail about Vets to Industry and what their number one mission is?
So, Vets2Industry, our number one mission is to help have a largest free resource library in existence. Uh, our founder and president, Brian Arrington, when he was retiring out of the Air Force, he went to the transition workshops, and one of the facilitators said, "Hey, there's 40,000 plus military veteran resources out there." And Brian's like excited guy. If you've never met Brian, he'll get you a little excited, and he's like, "Where's the website? How do I find them?" And then they kind of looked at him and was like, "Well, it doesn't exist. No one has them." Brian's like, "Hold my rip it. I gotta go take care of this." Uh, if those who don't know what a rip it is, it's a very small, uh, like 6 ounce
Yeah.
energy drink that we get while we're on deployment, and it might only be this little like 6 ounce can, but I think it's got enough sugar and caffeine and everything
Yeah.
else you could imagine of one of those big old monster drinks. Uh, and I'll tell you, a lot of us had those for breakfast and a few other uh, meals a day to kind of keep us awake on those long days.
That's right.
And so excited as Brian gets, I don't know what he'd be like when I rip it. Uh, but he said, I'm going to go take care of this. I'm going to create it. And without knowing it, he started Vets2Industry um, right then. It was the okay. I'm going to put out a request for assistance to see if I can find some IT people, some researchers, just a smart group. And there's that core 5 or 6 individuals that have been there since the start. Myself, I came in uh, February, March of 2020. So as we were getting ready for that first in-person event in Southwest Atlanta, where Brian lives, and COVID came and said, "Nope, you're shut down. You can't do it." And we said, "Well, we're going to do something. So we're going to figure out this virtual thing." And within 2 weeks, we had our very first virtual networking event. I'll be honest, we had about 120, 130 people on this Zoom call with us. We did not really have a format. I can't say that we really knew what we were doing,
Hmm.
but we knew we wanted to get a bunch of people together and talk all things transition, veterans, resources. And I'll tell you, we got done with that call. Uh, the the energy, the buzz that was going on after that was, okay, when are we going to do this again? Because we're going to keep doing this. And of course, we also said, hey, we can't do this without a format. So by the time we got to our second one, we had a good format, and now said 21 uh, plus events. We've got a great format,
Yeah, you do,
and
definitely.
I'll tell you, everything we do is free. We don't charge individuals to join us. Uh, we don't charge people to put things in our resource library. Now they have to go through our research and get vetted, because we're not out there going to refer people to resources that are taking advantage of others, aren't living up to the good stewards of the money that they bring in. We
Hmm.
want people that are there to take care of us. You know, if you're doing the wrong stuff, we don't want to be part of you, because we're working way too hard to make sure that we have the great people online. And I'll tell you, I've been on phone calls every day this week, talking with different partners, potential uh, workshops that we do, and I can just tell you, oh my God, I found things that I have no idea how I found them, but
Hmm.
I'm so excited to get these agreements in place so we can make announcements with them, and I'll tell you, if we don't
Hmm.
announce it tomorrow, it's going to be announced early next week. But we got a huge one, and I'm not going to spoil it and let you all know first. But I will tell you, make sure you're following Vets2Industry, and that's Vets, the number two, industry.org. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, and I'm sure we have another one
Yeah.
in Twitter. Uh, I'm old; I don't get on all those other ones, so sometimes I forget them. But there's going to be a huge announcement. It's with another incredible veteran resource, and I can't tell you the name, but if you know me,
Hmm.
it might be someplace where I do some mentoring, and we're going to come out here with a great announcement, a great partnership, and we're going to take each other to the next level. Uh, it's just a perfect matchup for both companies.
Wow. Wow, man. I'm excited to figure out who it is.
You already
But
figured that out. I saw you smiling.
no, yeah. What it's the outreach that you have. The reason I mentioned the hours and the numbers earlier was because it's absolutely amazing the outreach that Vets to Industry has, and folks like you within Vets to Industry. It's constantly I'm just from word of mouth hearing all types of people who pop into the military mix-up on Friday evenings, and they're brand new. They're in a situation where they're transitioning out of the military or they're still in service, and they get in touch with you or they get in touch with someone from Vets to Industry or Act Now or somewhere, and then they come back a few weeks later and they're like, "Wow, thank you so much. I literally had hundreds of," and that feedback and hearing those results is what I mean, it's absolutely amazing to me. And so I just wanted to know, Bruce, like, what would you say is the number one contributor to Vets to Industries' overall success?
It, it's the team. I mean, I said we're all volunteers. Uh, Majority of us are active duty veterans, military spouses. We have some that have not served, but you'd never know it with their passion to help us out.
Right.
Um, Again, you know, we have amazing board members. Um, it, it's it's really incredible to realize this, the talent we have on our board. Uh, you know, we have not yet spent a penny on marketing, and we're creeping up on 50,000 followers on LinkedIn, uh, and it's all word of mouth. It's We do everything we can to assist and help others. And again, our two hashtags are, how can I help and pay it forward, and
Mm-hmm.
that's completely what we're doing. Uh, we're not asking for anything in return. Uh, and we tell people, if you attend our events, and this is part of our marketing, but we're like, if you attend our events, take a picture and post it on LinkedIn or Facebook or something, and you tag us, we'll get the team to go out there and show you love. So
Mm-hmm.
we have people come in there and maybe they just created a LinkedIn account and they got like 10, 15 connections. Well, from our event, because everybody shares their LinkedIn and uh, profile links, and then they'll post a picture of a breakout room or the main room or whatever, and over the next 2 or 3 days, the entire like Vets2Industry family, we go out there and we like it. We make a comment or two, and you just see that growth. And all of a sudden, you have
Hmm.
people that were like, I have no idea where to start, what to do, uh, and they're getting recognized by the employers that work with us. They're getting
Right.
recognized by other organizations and saying, "Oh, you have a problem with this? Let me help you with that." You know, it's just amazing um, the value of networking and the impact of just helping someone out. A lot
Yeah.
of people think, you know, well, I made a LinkedIn post and no one cared. Well, if you come with us and you make a post, um, we'll share it. And we have many team members that, for that one post a day they do, it's a shout out to an individual. It's a shout out to an organization that's helping. And it's just our throwing our network in there and saying, hey, this is somebody who could use some assistance. Hey, this is an awesome person. We need you all to find out how awesome they are, and that's where we're at. It's about giving. It's about helping, and again, I'll be the first one to tell you, yeah, there's a lot of us at Vets2Industry, and we got egos, but when we're putting the work together, the egos are checked. Um, hey, I'm the vice president, but I'll tell you, we got people who first time volunteering just joined, but they're out there doing amazing things in their own right. They just got to us and joined the team.
Right.
Uh, I laughed. We had a brand new a member joined in the last couple of days, and I'm sitting there laughing like, "Hey, I thought you were always a team member." It was like, no, no, no. We're always together at all these different events and corresponding and attending them. But I just officially, went through the volunteer orientation and became a team member. I'm like, okay. I always counted you in there, but it's that kind of environment where
Yeah.
uh, you uh, you just talk about the individuals we have, and you know, Brian has done a great job of building an organization that people want to be a part of. It's doing things for the right reasons, and we're we understand that we're not always the smartest people in the room, but the good part
Right.
is one of us is going to know that smart person that we can get you connected to. You
Right.
know, I'll tell you, people talk to me all the time about IT and cyber, and I'm like, hey, I can surf the internet,
Hmm.
maybe do a little bit more, uh, but I can connect you to some incredible individuals that are going to take that next level, help you figure out which certifications you need, help you get that entry level starting point if you've never been in IT before. Oh, you've
Right.
been in IT and you got some certifications. Oh, let me talk to you about these other opportunities you have. Uh, and that's what we're doing. It's giving back. It's like, as we say, how can we help?
Yeah. I love how it's more about the results and less about the egos, and not so much about, like you said, the marquee and who's doing what. It's many times when you speak, you don't have to mention that you're from a certain group or whatever. The value of your words will get people to follow you, and that's what V2I is all about. And I love that part about the actual organization in itself. And I'll make sure that I link all of the V2Is, and I'll also link your LinkedIn, or I'll put your LinkedIn onto the show notes as well of this podcast. But is there anything that you'd like to finalize or summarize at the end of this podcast to let everyone know or inspire everyone to get that assistance from V2I?
Well, before I do that, you did introduce me as Bruce Batman Thompson. So if you come onto Clubhouse, you will find me as a picture of Batman. It is my alter ego. Uh, it's one of those ones, no superpowers, but gives a damn and puts some stuff out there. Uh, and plus, I'm Bruce as in Bruce Wayne. My
Hmm.
initials are BAT, and I'm a man. And more importantly, you've never seen me and Batman in the same room at the same time. that is an icebreaker I use on job interviews, at different events, and I've had the nickname Batman since probably 4 or 5 years old, uh, and so that's where the Batman comes from. I always got to make sure people
Uh,
know that. Uh, if you're looking for Bruce Thompson on Clubhouse, don't be afraid when you find me as the Batman picture. LinkedIn, yes, I'm back out there. Uh, but as far as vets to industry,
mhm.
everything we do is about helping those that are in a transition. And when we say transition, maybe it's the very first time you do a PCS move. And we can talk to you about the PCS move and the processes and the what's and the don'ts. If you're just getting out of service, we can talk to you about figuring out what you're worth, making sure your value's there, making sure you find the right industry and type of position for you, certifications, uh, college tracks, get you introduced to the right people at the right organizations, and, and we're there. Like I said, we don't care if you've been out for 30, 40 years. If you're making a transition from one spot to another, whether that's a relocation, whether that's changing companies, changing careers, we can help you. We do not turn anybody away. I'll tell you right now, we don't ask for the DD 214s. We don't ask for your military IDs. You show up, we're here to assist. Uh, and we focus on transitioning service members, veterans, military spouses, Guard Reserve. But if you just need some help, we have incredible people doing incredible things because it's about taking care of one another. And military service, that's what we're told to do. You know, it's make everybody better, leave the situations better than you found it, and if you can reach out and give a hand, you reach out and give a hand. And that's what we're here for. We have incredible individuals, and KP, I can't thank you enough for allowing me to be on the show today, but introduced me to the Meal Pack on Clubhouse. I mean, that's my Friday night right there. Uh, Everybody's like, well, what's part of your schedule? I'm like, hey, Friday nights I'm booked. And it's just an absolute pleasure to see the individuals that come on, to answer their questions, and just have that positive, safe place for individuals to come and kind of get that connectedness, get some questions answered, and even those who just kind of pop in and they don't want to come up on stage and talk, but they listen in to what's going on. Uh, it's just an incredible part of how we're reaching as many people as possible. So I love joining you on Friday nights. I have that locked in my schedule, so no intention of not being there.
Mhm.
And again, the next Vets2Industry events are on August 7th. We have a LinkedIn workshop going at 12 p.m. Eastern. And then at 2, we're having our uh, fourth military spouse networking mixer. And again, we are focused on military spouses. However, we're talking about new beginnings. PCS season, getting out, starting a new job, starting a new career, starting a new college. Your kids going to a new elementary school. You're new in a brand new environment. So it's all about new beginnings, and that doesn't matter if
Mhm.
you're a military spouse, a veteran, a teenager, whatever it happens to be. We're there, and we're going to get into our breakout rooms, which is what everybody loves our events for. So we
Mhm.
invite everybody to come out. You can go to our webpage, vets2industry.org, click on our events tab, and you'll see our events. They're all free. You just got to click and register for each one individually so you get the Zoom link and get the invite. Love to have you. If you can't make this one, don't worry. Every 3 weeks, we're right back out there doing it. Uh, any questions, please? I'm not hard to find. Reach out to me. I'd love to assist you, your community, uh, those that are in need of assistance.
Yeah, as soon as you mentioned Friday nights, your dog went crazy there. I think
You know,
I think your dog misses you during those 2 hours.
well, I'll be honest. My little one here is a little stir crazy because I got him locked in with me because
I see.
Mila's out there, you know, giving workshops and classes right now. So
Okay.
I got them up here with me, and he's the young one. He likes to get a little crazy,
Yeah.
but usually he'll just come up here and he'll take naps with me on Friday nights, and he'll just be sitting on my lap while we're having those discussions.
No, Bruce, listen, I really appreciate you giving me the time, and I appreciate you being part of the circle for the military mix-up as well. The honor is all mine. It's folks like you that actually make it happen. You're the big pillars that actually hold everything up. And like I said, I have been absolutely astounded by the feedback that we've gotten from folks who just pop into the military mix-up and they connect with, guys like you. And weeks later they come back and they're ecstatic at the amount of information that they got and the free resources that were out there for them. I actually had someone log in last week. It was a guy that worked with me while I was in the Army, and he recently got his Juris Doctorate, and he's like, man, I really wish I would have been online sooner with those guys, because there were some programs that I wish I had considered, taking advantage of versus me paying for them myself. So yeah, it's never too late for you. If you're listening out there, whether you're just enlisted into the military or whether you've been retired or whatever the case is, everything in between, check out Vets2Industry, because there's something for you on there. And it's literally, they support the whole family. So it's not just for a specific group of people at a certain time frame within their career. It's for everyone. So I want to thank you today. I want to thank you for giving your time today, Bruce. I really appreciate it. It's an absolute honor to be in your circle. And just looking forward to our conversation tomorrow.
Again, Friday night, what's the topic?
That's right.
You picked it out yet?
I did. So I just put it out. The topic for tomorrow is going to be somewhat controversial a little bit. I basically have left it open. It's I put the best military job with transferable skills is ... So
right.
People are going to be
That's gonna be
talking,
fun.
well, yeah, it's going to be real fun. So, and I think the real answer is, I think just about every job out there has transferable skills. But, I just want to get the discussion rolling and get the conversation rolling and knock down some of those myths.
Yeah, I can't wait for that. And again, it was my pleasure to be on here. And yeah, this little dog's going crazy right now, so I got to go
All
give
right.
him some attention so he doesn't tear down my house.
All right, thank you.
But it was a pleasure. I love being here. Anytime you need me, I'm here. Just let me know.
I appreciate it, Bruce. And for everyone out there listening, thank you for tuning in today. All the information to get a hold of Bruce and to join Vets2Industry is going to be down in the show notes, so please check that out. Thank you for joining us. For Batman and KP, we're out.